You keep thinking he'll fall in love the way you do, that if you show up, stay loyal, answer his texts quickly, ask about his day, show interest in the things he likes, and make him feel important, he'll see you. He'll appreciate you. He'll feel what you feel. You believe that love is built through consistency, through closeness, through communication. And for you, maybe it is. But not for him. Because men don't fall in love through safety. They don't fall in love when they're being comforted. They don't fall in love when they feel certain. They fall in love when there's tension. Not chaos, not games. But the kind of tension that keeps them guessing. The kind that makes them wonder who you really are, what you're really thinking, and whether or not they truly have you. It's not your softness that makes a man fall. It's your strength. It's not your vulnerability that captures him. It's your restraint. It's not your willingness to give him everything. It's your ability to withhold what isn't earned. When a man senses that your world doesn't revolve around him, something primal awakens in him. Something ancient. The part of him that's wired to pursue, to strive, to prove himself. And it's not manipulation. It's nature. When he senses that you're not dependent on his attention, he becomes more attentive. When he sees that your emotions aren't being poured into him, he starts wondering who is receiving them. When he feels your absence, emotional, energetic, even physical, he realizes how deeply he wants your presence. That's when he starts to fall. Not when you're available, not when you're constantly reassuring him. But when you become a mystery again, you were never supposed to lose yourself in him. You were never supposed to center your identity around how he feels about you. But somewhere along the way, you started equating love with effort. You believed that if you loved harder, waited longer, forgave faster, and gave more, he would finally see your worth. But that's not how it works. Not with men, and not with love that's real. Men fall in love in the space you create, not the space you fill. In the stillness of your silence, in the boundaries you hold, in the moments where you say nothing at all and let your absence speak volumes. And yes, that requires a level of emotional discipline most people never reach. It requires you to sit with discomfort, to resist the urge to fix, to stay quiet when your instincts scream for connection. But in that quiet, in that self-possession, something changes. He begins to feel something he's never had to feel before, the fear of loss. Not because you're threatening to leave, but because you actually could. Because you have a life outside of him. A self that doesn't collapse in his absence. A heart that beats, not for validation, but for peace. And that's when you become unforgettable. Because most people chase, most people beg, most people over-explain and overstay. But the ones who leave without making a scene, those are the ones who are remembered. Men don't fall in love with women who make them comfortable. They fall in love with the women who disrupt them. Not through drama, but through detachment. Not through anger, but through indifference. The kind of indifference that isn't cruel, just sovereign. The kind that doesn't punish, but simply moves on. Because the truth is, men respect what they have to work for. And if you give yourself away without asking for anything in return, he'll take you for granted. Not because he's cruel, but because that's how the male mind is wired. If you want to know how men fall in love, you have to start unlearning everything you've been taught. He doesn't fall when you confess your feelings. He falls when you stop trying to prove them. He doesn't fall when you prioritize him. He falls when he realizes he's no longer your priority. He doesn't fall when you show him how much you care. He falls when he starts questioning whether you care at all. That's the moment everything flips. When you stop pouring, when you stop chasing, when you start living for yourself again. Because that's when you become magnetic. Not because you're playing a role, but because you've remembered your worth. Your time becomes sacred. Your energy becomes selective. And your love becomes something he can't just stumble into. He has to rise to meet it. That's when he changes. That's when he starts texting first. That's when he begins listening more closely, looking at you differently, showing up in ways he never did before. And it's not a game. It's not reverse psychology. It's self-respect. When you remove your attention from someone who hasn't earned it, you force them to confront the void. And that void, that quiet, unsettling space where your energy used to live, becomes the very place where his love starts to grow. He'll remember your silence, your stillness, your boundaries. He'll remember how it felt when you stopped giving and started watching. He'll remember the shift in you, the way your eyes no longer asked to be loved, the way your body no longer reached for closeness, the way your voice no longer tried to keep him close. That memory, not your affection, not your efforts, not your sacrifices. That memory is what haunts him. Because it's the moment he saw who you truly were, and it's the moment he realized he could lose you. This is how men fall in love, not through what you give, but through what you withhold. Not because you're trying to hurt him, but because you finally understand that love should never cost you your self-respect, that your emotions aren't currency, that your presence isn't a gift to be thrown at the feet of someone who hasn't earned it. You become the prize. You become the standard. You become the one who is chosen, not because you begged, but because you stopped. And maybe he won't get it right away. Maybe he'll keep playing the same games, expecting the same version of you. But eventually, something will shift. He'll feel the gap where you used to be. He'll notice the difference in your tone. He'll sense the detachment in your presence. And suddenly, the woman he thought he could replace becomes the woman he can't stop thinking about. Because love doesn't begin with obsession. It begins with absence. It begins when you stop showing up like you always do, and he starts to realize what it feels like to lose access to your energy. That's when men fall, not all at once, but slowly, quietly, helplessly. And by then, if you've done the real work, the healing, the detaching, the growing, you won't need him to love you. You'll have already loved yourself enough to let go. And that is the kind of woman every man remembers. The one who didn't stay. The one who didn't beg. The one who didn't wait for him to catch up. The one who loved, but chose peace. The one who gave him a glimpse of something real, and then walked away without looking back. That is how men fall in love. And if this spoke to something deep inside you, if you felt yourself nodding not just with your head, but with your soul, then don't keep this wisdom to yourself. Share it. Let more women remember their power. And while you're here, hit that subscribe button. Because this channel isn't about chasing love. It's about becoming the kind of woman who never has to. Leave a comment if you've ever loved someone harder than you loved yourself. And let me know if you're done doing that. Your transformation starts when you choose yourself, and I'll be right here, every step of the way.